Let's welcome Greg Smith from IPX 1031 Exchange. He's actually going to teach us about exchanging properties and deferring taxes. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Yes.
How's the sound?
Very good.
Good? All right, great. Well, thank you very much. Very happy to be here tonight. I'm Greg Smith. I'm with Investment Property Exchange. We're a qualified intermediary, which means we're a company that assists people with doing Section 1031 exchanges. So we'll talk all about what that means tonight. Feel free throughout the presentation just to interrupt me at any point, raise your hand, ask questions. Let's have some interaction. It's much more enjoyable for everyone that way. So please don't wait till the end for questions. Bring them up as we go. If I go too quick, if you want to talk more about a subject, if I'm missing something, just let me know and we'll talk about it right then. In its most basic form, a 1031 exchange is just the simple idea that the government is allowing you to sell your property, roll that into new property, and not pay taxes on the sale. So it really started out back in 1921, almost 100 years ago. And back then it was really two-party swaps. It was a couple of farmers where, all right. I love it, right off the bat, perfect.
So my question is, when you do an exchange, right, so I got X property, I sell that property, and prefer the paying the capital gains and appreciation, right? So I move to another property, but if I sell it and don't exchange it, do I have to capture the property, the tax rates for the first property and the second property, or just the second?
Sure, so the question is, when you sell a property, you do an exchange, you acquire your new property, and you end up selling that property later, you know, do you pay the taxes just on the initial property or just on the second property? And we'll get into this certainly, but what's going to happen is your tax basis from that first property is going to roll into the second property, okay? So yeah, absolutely, if you do end up selling at some point without exchanging, you'll pay all the taxes that build up. So it's not as if some go away by doing that. You'll still come out ahead. The time value of money, and you know, we get those flyers in the mail all the time and things about retirement savings, and they'll tell you, you know, if you just put a small amount away in your 20s and 30s, you'll do so much better than if you put huge amounts away in your 40s and 50s and 60s for retirement, because that small amount just grows over time. And it's the same idea with a 1031 exchange. And what the accountants kind of teach their clients is that, you know, if you go ahead and do an exchange, you're able to reinvest 100% of your money instead of a much smaller chunk, and having 100% of your money grow over time, that even if 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road, 20 years down the road, you were to sell and not do an exchange at that point, you'd still come out way ahead. But there's a couple of things I'll just jump into now. There's what I call kind of a baseball analogy, kind of what's a double or a triple, is you turn your investment property into a principal residence. So how do you do that? Let's say you sell some investment properties around the Dayton area, you 1031 exchange, you know, it could be a property here, it could be a property on Hilton Head Island, where have you. But you buy that new property, and in exchange, property always has to be some type of business or investment property. So when you buy that new property, you know, let's call it Hilton Head. You buy this beautiful property on Hilton Head after selling your rentals in Dayton, and you rent that property out for a while. Let's say you rent it out for 2 years. Then you go move into it. And the government says, hey, that's okay. We're not going to make you treat that as an investment property forever. You could go change your mind and go move into this property. So you plan ahead, you buy a property you want to move into someday, you go move into it. Then what do? Well, Section 121 is the section of the tax code that you use for a principal residence that usually allows us not to pay any tax on the sale of our principal residence. So if you've ever been in a real estate closing selling your home, they ask you some questions. It says, You know, did you own this as your principal residence for at least 2 of the last 5 years? Have you sold any other home in the last 2 years? And a couple